Hello, welcome to my lunchtime chat on the second Friday of Lent. It's really difficult for me to choose between making a lunchtime chat sometime in the week and taking a little nap or siesta at my lunch hour. I really prefer the nap. I like that. People who don't sleep a lot, who are Energizer bunnies in their life, they live off of little 10-minute snippets, little 10-minute naps here and there. Power naps, they're called. They work, they really do. But I do get, despite the fact that I am an Energizer bunny, I do get very tired and long for that just break outside of the sunshine and the dark shadows, disappear down into the shadows. It's really nice. I like it. So oftentimes I end up on Friday and it's the last day of the week. It's the last day to make a video during my lunch hour. So this week I have chosen to make that video. I was inspired to tell a short story about a woman that I used to know. I've lost track of her over the years. She's the type of person who doesn't use the internet, doesn't use social media. She really doesn't. She's very intelligent, older woman who simply does not like technology. So there are a fair amount of older people like that. You know, technology, computers, internet, that was brought to us by boomers. So there are a fair amount of boomers who love technology and the internet, and they're actually more savvy with it than your average, say, Zoomer or millennial in that often, not always, but they can be because it was their generation that created the internet and computers. And of course, I am Gen X. I have had computers and internet technology my entire adult life, or most of it. I think I first had email when I was about 25. I'm going to 24, 25, I'm going to say, maybe earlier. I don't know, I don't remember. But I was one of the first of my generation to have my own PC. That was not an Apple PC. It was a PC that was scabbed together by my father, Boomer, who was an engineer, electrical engineer, and he scabbed me together a computer. And of course I had one of those old printers, dot matrix printers, you know, really high quality artwork that they could produce, just great. Anyway, it's funny thinking about that, thinking about what I thought was amazing back then, and all of the DOS operating system, and using all of the F keys, and I used to have them memorized. I used to also have a cheat sheet on my computer, but gosh, long gone are those days. Anyway, so I had a computer earlier than a lot of people. I did know a couple people in high school who had Apples, or Macintoshes, which is obviously an Apple brand, because that was really popular with schools and students back in the day. I never really got into Apple machines. I really just started out with PCs and have kept PCs getting smaller and smaller until now I just carry around this phone, and I still don't use an iPhone. So I guess I just have rejected Apple products. I don't have anything particularly against them. I just don't want to use them. That was completely irrelevant. I've gone on this long diatribe about technology when I really meant to talk about this old friend that I had in Socorro. The reason why I was thinking about her is that when I went on my walk yesterday, I found in the middle of the sidewalk a heart-shaped rock, and it was like it was placed there just for me. I like to believe such things. I'm not actually superstitious, but it's fun to try to be superstitious. And I do believe in signs. I believe God gives us signs, but I don't know about little things like that. Maybe he does. I don't know. He could give us reminders that we're loved, because I think that's the whole point of, little heart shapes, is to remind us of love. Anyway, I found this heart-shaped rock in the middle of the sidewalk, and I think I left it in my jeans. They're now in the laundry hamper. I wish I had my rock with me, just carried around in my pocket, because how nice to carry around a heart-shaped rock. That's a beautiful little symbol. Anyway, I thought about her because she had a hobby of collecting heart-shaped rocks. She would go on her daily walks, and wherever she found heart-shaped rocks, she would put them in her pockets, and then she would come home, and she had a shrine in her backyard. Well, I don't know if it was a shrine, not really a religious shrine, but she had a place where she kept all of her heart-shaped rocks in different patterns, and it just meant a lot to her. And at the time, it just seemed like a cute little hobby that she had. She had other hobbies, like she loved to go to flea markets, and I used to go to flea markets with her up in Albuquerque. We'd go for the day, and that was fun. I'm not as much of a flea market shopper. I mean, I find them fun. It's kind of like a treasure hunt, because you never know what you're going to find. There was a regular flea market in Socorro for a long time. I don't know whether it's still there. I mean, maybe. Who knows? Some of these elements of society just never really die. So it might still be there. I don't really know, but I used to love going through the, there would always be one stall that had probably pirated CDs of Mexican music that I liked, and I'd like to riffle through the CDs to see if there was anything that I wanted, knowing full well that they were probably pirated. I'm also, being a Gen X, most people from Gen X recognize the pirated music as being just a part of the rite of passage. We used to buy one album amongst a group of friends, and we'd record it and pass it out. And then somebody else would buy a different album, and they'd record it for everybody and pass it out. And yeah, I know, but that was so long ago. I'm sure nobody's going to prosecute me now for passing out pirated tapes. Pirated tapes. Yeah, CDs later, but pirated tapes at that time. So I don't know if anyone who wants to prosecute the 12-year-olds of Gen X who pirated their albums. That would be kind of amusing. Anyway, yeah, that's the kind of thing that I buy at flea markets, pirated CDs. Well, no, I used to. I don't even buy CDs anymore, but I have this giant CD collection somewhere in shoe boxes of all of my Norteño music and Norteño and Banda music that I initially collected, because, CDs were still a thing when I started listening to the music. So I have those somewhere. I put them all on my computer, so I have backup copies. But now, I just listen to Spotify because technology. But this lady, this friend, she was not into technology. She collected heart-shaped rocks, went to flea markets, and I was thinking about her because, I don't know, I felt this deep sadness for her, because she had been caring for a disabled husband for years and years, and I think she was very sad. No, I mean, she admitted to being sad and sometimes just unemotional. She had suppressed her emotions and really didn't feel them very deeply, I think, for that reason, because she couldn't really process them very easily, and she felt very sad. So people who feel very sad often want to depress their emotions. I think that's part of the concept of being depressed. But I think now, looking back on it, that her hobby of collecting heart-shaped rocks was her real dreams and hopes of being loved and having love. Because, I mean, although I'm sure that she and her husband loved each other, it can be very wearing on the caretaker partner to spend so many years caring for an ill spouse. And I know at some point she had to put him in a home because she just could not do it anymore. And And of course, that was heartbreaking for her. And she would go every day to see him at the home. And, you know, a lot of elderly people don't have that, so that was a good thing, you know, that he had that. But I think she was very lonely, and she needed love, and she needed friends, and that's what I thought of when I found that heart-shaped rock. I was thinking of all the people that we know that really just need a friend. And, you know, when I say love, need love, I don't, you know, romantic love is one thing, but it's not the end all and be all of love. We have friendships too, where we care for each other and nurture each other. And I think that often elderly people end up very lonely when they don't have an intact community around them. I can't remember how many kids this woman had, but I know she had at least one or two that used to come visit her. I honestly, it's been so many years now, but they lived far away, so she didn't have that regularly. She didn't have the love of her children around her regularly, but she had a church community, and I was part of our church community at that time, and that's how I got to know her, and that's why I went, you know, flea market shopping with her. I really enjoyed her company. She's a generation older than I am, maybe even a little bit older than my parents. She looked very young for her age, so it was kind of hard to tell. But I think probably a little bit older than my parents, and it was definitely a friendship that benefited both her and me, because, you know, we always learn from our elders. We learn from the older generation. But she was one of these quiet types of people who just doesn't express her personality, wants, and needs. The one part of her personality that was very dominant was the fact that she loved to read and learn and study, and she spent a lot of time doing that. But of course, she would order her books or go to Albuquerque to buy them. She would order them the old-fashioned way, oftentimes through book catalogs, and she would have them shipped to her. She definitely did not use Amazon, that's for sure. So I remember the first book I published, I'm pretty sure I gave her a copy of it, and hopefully she read it and enjoyed it. I don't know, it doesn't matter. It was just a gift. Anyway, so speaking of it being the second Friday in Lent, of course, today is a fast day, which means as Catholics, we eat 2 very small meals, vegetarian, and then we eat a larger vegetarian dinner. And sometimes I think that our vegetarian meals are quite indulgent and really not fasting. I mean, I love a good bean burrito, is one of the best things ever, and it seems quite indulgent. Of course, I'm not very careful about whether my beans have lard in them. I asked other people, well, do you pay attention or care about lard in your beans on Fridays of Lent? And they kind of just looked at me blankly like, who would care about such a thing? So maybe just the fact that that I bring it up is kind of unusual for other people who it wouldn't even cross their mind to consider that to be a bad thing. I don't think it's good to be too legalistic about anything, but of course lard is not vegetarian, so it probably doesn't fit with a Catholic Lenten fast. Anyway, I believe that a lot of our fasts are indulgent. I mean, if we were to go an entire day without eating and just drink water, or maybe even just, you know, water, juice, you know, whatever, milk, you know, a liquid fast might be a little bit, that might be suffering a little bit more than what we do, because I mean, vegetarian foods can be quite delicious and very rich, to be honest with you. I don't think that the concept of wealthy Americans fasting by eating vegetarian food, it's kind of that fast is lost on them. But what we do for others, I think, is even more important. So fasting from being solitary, fasting from being disconnected, fasting from not loving our neighbor as well as we should. I think that's more important. And that's all I wanted to say, because that's what the heart-shaped rock reminded me of. It reminded me that we should, as humans, be loving each other and be giving each other mercy, because we don't. God gives us mercy, but we don't want to give other people mercy. We get angry and we get offended, and I mean, that's just the way humans are, right? So fast from that, fast from vindictiveness, disconnectedness, all of what keeps us apart from each other. And I think that if you do that and you see God and love God with all your heart, then He will make that possible, and you will have a much better Lent than just eating cheese pizza or macaroni and cheese or whatever it is that you prefer to eat for Lent. So have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. I'm sure I will post another video this weekend. That's the goal. So I'll see you later.